Hello, I'm State Senator Jamie Eldridge. Welcome to another edition of Half Hour in the Hill, my ActonTV cable show. And very pleased to have Don Willis, the owner of Great Spaces, based now in West Acton Village. So Don, thank you so much for coming on the show. Great to see you. And of course, I was just at your business for the expansion celebration of your showroom. So congratulations on that. And I was just so impressed at how beautiful your facility it is, and what a great job you do to make so many homes nicer in the area.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, and I know that I was at your previous ribbon cutting when you were in Boxborough, but how long have you been in West Acton Village? It's on Arlington Street, right?
Yes.
Yes.
We moved into the building at 245 Arlington Street 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we purchased the old Colonial Auto Parts.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. And how did you get into opening the business? And if you could talk a little bit about your business, that'd be great.
Sure. So I actually live in Boxborough with my husband Mike and my 3 children, who have all gone through the AB school system.
Great.
And I was doing kitchen and bath design for a much larger firm and doing a lot of traveling. And when we had thought about the way we wanted to balance kind of the work-life balance, I felt that starting something on my own locally when I knew I wanted to expand our family, or we wanted to expand our family, that I would try to find a local spot to be able to set up shop.
Sure.
And that's what led us into a little office in Boxborough that was kind of destination only, beautiful. And we were there for 8 years.
Okay, yeah.
And at that point, we had such a great connection with the community. I really wanted to be able to expand and set down a little bit more permanent roots, and the opportunity to purchase the building next to the West Acton Post Office came up, and it just felt like the right move for us.
That is great.
Yeah.
And so your clients are sort of from all over the region, right? I mean, you are
Sure.
serving a lot of people.
We are. Anybody that wants to come in and work with us I like to say they can come in and buy one cabinet knob or one piece of tile, or they can add on a small addition and completely redesign their floor plan. We're there to work with them. And we do a little bit more hands-on project management with a little bit of a closer radius, but absolutely can help with projects for just about anybody in the region.
Sure. And what are the different companies that you interact with to provide the services and upgrade people's homes? Like what are those different types of companies that you work with?
Sure. So we, after the design is complete, when you're coming in to purchase material, we have about 70 different vendors.
Wow.
And each of those vendors also have multiple vendors that come into them. So we have 8 lines of cabinetry. We have about every kind of countertop surface imaginable, multiple lines of cabinet hardware, tile, different kinds of flooring, plumbing, lighting.
Okay.
Pretty much anything, any finishes except for appliances, and we create partnerships locally with some wonderful small appliance vendors as well, so that we can really handhold you through the whole entire process. We also have local contractors that we work exclusively with, and exclusively we refer, but we actually work with probably 60, 70 different contractors a year that will bring their business to us, or the clients have already had a relationship with them. And we have a small list of preferred contractors that we work with. That's great, and that's such a reminder that a small business. I think you have 6 employees. Is that correct? Yes. But what a sort of multiplier effect that has in just the networking with, you said, over 70 different, at least over 70 different companies. That's very impressive. Yeah. That's great. And what makes you passionate about this? What sort of drives you with the business? Well, for me personally, I love a puzzle. I love the puzzle and the creativity, that each individual project is completely different. I mean, if you're from the community, you know that there are some specific styles of houses that you're going to see frequently over and over again, but
Yep.
but every single one is different. Every split level, every colonial, every ranch, every deck house, by the person who's in it or the people who have touched it before, and what your needs are and what your style is.
Sure.
And so that makes every project really fun. And I also love to make sure that people are getting the value out of everything that they're bringing into their home. I completely understand the need for a budget, and also wanting to make sure that any moves you make really make the difference that you're hoping they're going to make. Nobody takes on changes lightly in their home.
Sure.
And I want to make sure they really get that end result that they're hoping for, and that it feels personal but functional as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And of course, people care so much about their homes and thinking about, okay, I want to fix up the bathroom or fix up the kitchen or any other part of the house, and obviously balancing that to what you said with fitting within a budget. So that is a challenge, I would think, for anyone.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, and we're also doing so many other creative spaces lately, especially after the pandemic. A lot of at-home offices that we're building in.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really, the hot thing for the past couple of years has been mud rooms and laundry rooms, and just really making spaces feel as functional as possible.
Sure, sure.
It's been
It
nice.
reminds me, I went to a ribbon cutting in Hudson of a company, and I think they fix up the garage, to make
Yeah.
it kind of almost a living situation. And I didn't even think about that, but they said that was part of the impact of the pandemic is having more spaces where people could work or enjoy
We're putting in
themselves.
Murphy beds inside of people's offices so
Yep.
that they're a combined office guest room, and
Okay.
just really thinking outside the box of how you want to use your space.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I know that in many ways the Massachusetts economy is pretty strong, and as a legislator we keep watch of that. Revenues continue to be pretty robust at the state level, but obviously there's lots of talk about the national economy not doing as well, and how manufacturers and small business men and women are feeling. And I'm just wondering what are you seeing in terms of running your business with how the economy is doing in Massachusetts, and how that's perhaps impacting your clients?
Sure. We've been really steady and consistent, and it's been a lovely relationship with our local community for the last 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel very grateful for it, and it's allowed us to grow at kind of a nice pace. And the beginning of this year was a little scary, probably the scariest I've had in those 16 years, where a few quick movements have been made within the economy that scared a lot of clients that we had that we had worked with for many, many months on large projects, and they put their projects on hold.
Okay.
And I think they were people still wanted to move forward. They were very excited about the potential to be able to do the projects they had been working on for a long time, but they just felt nervous about what the next steps were with the economy. I mean, some people felt like their jobs were at risk.
Okay.
Others were seeing some erraticness in their savings in the market.
Yep.
And so that was sort of the first hit that we got that made things a little bit unstable for a few of the bigger projects we were on. And then we, shortly after that, started to hear talks about tariffs.
Okay, sure.
And that ended up making people uncomfortable as well, which I thought slowed the foot traffic down of people coming in to talk about projects. And when they did come in, they all kept talking about smaller scope of projects or more in the future, which made me feel like I had to take a look at our future and potentially make some sort of pivots to make sure that we stayed stable and that the livelihood of the people that worked for me was safe.
Sure. Yeah. And I do certainly want to get into the tariff question a little bit later. As far as your clients, and they had these big projects, then were they scaling down on the scope of their project to fix up their home?
Yeah, everybody approached it a little bit differently. A few of those projects are still on hold, and a few people held for a couple of months and then did a little soul searching of where they felt like they could comfortably put their finances and the next steps that they wanted to take. And some came back and kept them pretty close to where they were, and others came back and scaled way back.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, which made a lot of sense to me, but it did take us a lot of time to step back in there and be a partner with them and scale back.
Sure.
What we were looking at.
And I know we talked about this a little bit at your ribbon cutting, but there were clients who, a spouse had lost their job and therefore having to really change their plans for, managing their expenses and costs.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And in terms of, did you see that with your fellow business partners as far as how it impacted their model and their work?
Absolutely. I feel everybody was nervous, and there was a lot more communication that was happening with everybody was trying to get a feeling and a sense of the pulse of the immediate industry so that they could forecast for their own business and see if there were ways that they could help us move forward and also keep their business strong. So some of my vendors in the beginning actually offered to take discounts on certain products to help people get through. And others were letting go of some lines that were harder to maintain or pricier.
Okay, sure.
So it definitely, there was a lot in flux. I felt like every day there was something new that we had to update our space for and stay on top of.
Sure.
Yeah.
And are there fewer people coming into the showroom or the office, or?
So the interesting thing is that we seem to still, there was a short period of time where it was completely dead.
Okay. Yeah.
Completely dead. And that was scary for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think that we are we're a positive group as a whole. I feel like we want things to be in a good place, and so sometimes it's that self-fulfilling prophecy of, you take that step and you move forward and you keep things happening in the right direction, and it will follow. And so we didn't slow down as far as people, but every person that came in did express a concern for how much they could spend. And where that was
part of that initial conversation.
As part of the initial conversation, which was not where we started before. Most people started with the dream and the wish list and the things that they had been thinking and planning for a long time and the stuff that was exciting to them, and they wanted to hear about what we could do for them before they opened up the discussion about budgeting. And now it's the lead-in because it is making people nervous.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that feedback. I do want to get into the impact of the tariffs that have come forward under the new administration. We're going to take a brief break. I'm here with Don Willis, owner of Great Spaces on Half Hour on the Hill.
Oh, right. Look at you taking the stairs. Who are you?
We're your lungs. We are proud of you for quitting smoking, but you still may be at risk for lung cancer.
A routine cancer scan can detect it early when it's more curable. Good to know. Well, I gotta go somewhere.
So do we.
Listen to your lungs. Get a routine screening that could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Hi, State Senator Jamie Eldridge here for the second half of Half Hour on the Hill, talking to Don Willis, owner of Great Spaces in West Acton Village. So Don, thank you so much for sharing, some of your experiences, your passion for the design company you have, as well as, sort of the initial economic picture for what you were experiencing. You obviously mentioned tariffs, and there's no doubt that, tariffs is on the tip of, many Americans' tongues about, what the impact is and even, how tariffs are paid, et cetera. so many of your products and got to see your beautiful showroom obviously are coming from other countries, and so that I would assume means that there's been an impact as far as the tariffs. Is that the case? Have you seen a cost shift as a result of the tariffs by the Trump-Vance administration?
Yes, I have seen a cost shift. One clarification, actually, 80% of my product comes from the U.S. distributors.
Okay. Yep.
But of those U.S. distributors, most of them need to purchase product outside of the U.S. to complete the product that they're bringing to us.
Yes.
So, for example, kitchen cabinetry, a good portion of kitchen cabinetry's wood is coming from Canada.
Okay, sure.
And most of the top-of-the-line hardware and the highest-end cabinetry is coming from a company in Austria.
Oh, interesting.
They're like the creme de la creme, and then there's an Italian company right below them. So a lot of European products have been on the cutting edge of accessories and functionality pieces within cabinetry.
Okay.
Same is true for some of the products that make up the engineered stone countertops and the natural stone countertops. Those are going to be coming from outside the U.S. even if the engineered stone counters are being manufactured in the U.S., which most of the lines that I work with are being manufactured in the U.S.
Sure.
So there's as many products as we can. We are buying from the U.S. or buying locally. Local's important. We're a small local business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, the one partner that isn't U.S. made is Canadian, and they're only 3 hours from our office, about 15 minutes over the Vermont border. And they've been a phenomenal partner with us to offer something that we really couldn't get from some of our other lines.
Sure. I mean, particularly us being here in New England, there's so much trade going on with Canada that we hear about it, a bit more, and there's, a lot of chatter about, decrease in visitors of Canadians to the U.S. and things like that, and how that impacts spending. But in terms of how does Great Spaces experience those tariffs? You saw the cost going up for certain items. Like what was the direct observation?
So there were so many different ways that it affected us. As soon as we had heard that a tariff was going to go in place, at least let's say for cabinetry, because that was the big one that came about the very end of September. It actually was announced, I think, on September 26th or 25th, that 5 days from then, 5 days, we were going to be experiencing a 25% tariff on a product that we had been pricing sometimes for people 8-9 months in advance of that, or we had already received money from people, placed orders on that product that now, before it's able to be made or comes to us, is going to have a tariff put on it. So we all had to balance that hit specifically. So one way is that our vendors and us had to decide if we were going to pass that tariff completely on to our client that had already paid us and expected, or had already got a quote from us. And had expected a certain price to be fitting into their budget, or if we were going to take that hit to maintain that relationship.
Absolutely.
So that was the first piece. The second piece was for the new clients going forward. Were we going to be able to work within some of our other product lines to make up for that? And it was challenging because our other product lines that were made in America that we used probably already 70%, they had all increased their pricing due to the tariffs that were happening on the products that they were bringing into them. So I don't think anybody had a lot of a runway to be able to make decisions ahead of time so that we could all step into it with a little bit more knowledge and information to be able to brace ourselves for it.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, suddenly a cabinet that came from Canada or mostly was, coming from Canadian products, that you were seeing that cost increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and across the board for other products as well, all the stones, and then some of the products then were no longer available through the distribution chains that we had. So we were, every single item that we touched, and we were trying to help build a project with somebody, you know, pulling together your tile and your counter and your hardware and your plumbing and your lighting and your cabinet and make it this dream space for you. We weren't sure if all of these 8, 9, 10 pieces that we were pulling together were even going to be available to us when the client walked out the door, or if they were going to be in the budget that we had already sort of set their expectations for. So it took a lot of behind the scenes work. Everybody that works with me has had to put in a lot of extra time and energy trying to reprice things and just pivot to be able to make sure that our clients are still getting as many options as we could give them, or set their expectations as much as possible.
So that creates a very unpredictable atmosphere to, you know, to grow, to plan, to expand, even to maintain your employees, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how about any other specific experience from the other companies you do business with, of what they were experiencing? Or
so they were all experiencing increases in their product that they were bringing in as well. So the American-made cabinetry companies all had to go up. Well, most of them had to go up as well. And actually the Canadian company, they took the brunt of the tariff in the beginning because they had mostly American sales, and they felt they needed to. And now that we've rolled into the beginning of the year, it's up at 50% tariff.
Right.
So I'm not sure where we're going to go from here, or where they're going to go from here. I don't know what that means for the industry in general. What we've done in home to be able to still provide people with products that they need, sometimes for maintenance, or, you know, if you have a leak or an issue that happens in your home, or that they want because they've been planning and waiting to be able to make their space better, and to allow us to kind of put one foot in front of the other, is that we've planned. The expansion that we created was to be able to help people with smaller steps and to phase the approach. You know, so that we can do the pieces that we are aware of and we are comfortable with at the moment, and help them take small steps that work within a budget, so the expectations can be set, because none of us really know what's going to happen next month. I mean, when this first happened, most of the people in our industry felt there's no way that this 50% tariff could potentially stay in place through January, and here we are, and it's still here. So.
And while we're talking, of course, the Supreme Court has, you know, recently agreed to take on whether, you know, the president has power under, you know, certain executive emergencies declared to levy such tariffs, you know, under the executive branch. So that's going to be a critical decision by the Supreme Court. In terms of the tariffs, just because you see a lot of some of the videos, viral videos, you know, often in D.C. at committee hearings, is that, you know, the companies that are importing the products, or small businesses, you know, are paying that tariff, or having to decide what to do with that tariff. It's not the government, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And most of them are passing it along to us, and then passing it along to the consumer, which is making the demand less, which then is not really getting, I believe, the desired result of more sales for these American companies, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is impacting, you know, families and small businesses across Massachusetts and beyond. So absolutely.
We've had to put more hours in and be open more hours, so that we can be more retail focused for those smaller sales. And I know that a number of other companies have made choices, different choices to change, or to become smaller, or to hit a smaller marketplace.
Yeah. And in some ways, I didn't fully understand, you know, some of the chaos. I have a cousin in Maine who works for a company that basically is sort of a warehouse that sells products mostly that are originally made in China, and what, you know, her company's had to pivot is having the product sent to Great Britain to avoid the steep tariff in China, and then sent to America, even though there's additional shipping costs, just to try to lower some of those prices of those products. So
Sure.
that was quite a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Yep. And so Great Space is experiencing these tariffs, and then that is being in some ways passed on to your clients, or as you said, in some ways you're having to decide whether to take on or assume some of the costs of those items. That must be very difficult.
It's been stressful.
Yeah.
It's been stressful. But I mean, we feel like a part of the community. Everyone that works with me, from my employees to my contractors and a lot of our subcontractors, they all live in the community as well. And we hope to be here for a long time. And so I think it's important to be a partner with the people that are there and let them know that we care about the end result, that the end result of what they're spending and what they're getting, and it's important to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the characteristic so frequently of small business owners, of taking those extra steps, working those extra hours to continue to deliver the services or products. Where often, a large corporation, perhaps is just thinking about immediately passing along those costs, or unfortunately, even as we're seeing with some of the larger corporations, just laying people off and the impacts of that.
Sure.
So I so appreciate what you're doing, and was just thought that your showroom and your business is absolutely beautiful. So I certainly hope that that continues to grow, and congratulations on that expansion. And thank you for your years of work as a small business person, as well as your work, I know, in Boxborough, serving on some committees around economic development. So I appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for those who watched this episode of Half Hour on the Hill. I'm State Senator Jamie Eldridge with Don Willis, owner of Great Spaces. Thanks for joining us.